Hello, and welcome to CDH's second interview for our Community Data Watch podcast series. Join us each month as we interview folks in the community on topics related to Community Development Halton's research publication, the Community Data Watch. Each month, we report on various topics that are important to life and well-being in Halton. This report is complemented by community conversations on the third Friday of each month via Zoom, as well as on this podcast. For more information, check out our new CDH website, www.cdhalton.ca. This Community Data Watch closely examines the rise of multi-generational households in Halton over the past decade. It highlights characteristics such as geographic location, household size, living arrangements, housing conditions, the number of wage earners, and household income. Comparisons are made between immigrant and non-immigrant, racialized and non-racialized households. It is hoped that this information will lead to a better understanding of the benefits and challenges faced by residents in these living arrangements. A better understanding of these benefits and challenges will help government, social agencies, and the community to support these complex family units more effectively in our community. Statistics Canada defines multi-generational households as households where there is at least one person who is both the grandparent of a person in the household and the parent of another person in the same household. So to help us understand this topic in community context, we're joined by Hanadi Almasri, the Director of Social Innovation Programs at the Halton Multicultural Council. Hanadi has been working with HMC Connections for the last 22 years. With her extensive experience in education, she has a strong understanding of the principles of equity, intersectionality, anti-racism, decolonization, inclusion, and anti-oppression, and cultural competence. Hanadi provided different consultation on building cultural competence within the workplace for many organizations, moving towards equity and inclusion within her daily operations, policies, EDI, assessment tools, and more within the area of healthcare, education, long-term care, children's services, recreations and sports, immigration, etc. Hanadi provided many different capacity-building training, such as language matters, cultural competence, the ongoing journey of anti-racism, dealing with unconscious bias, building your toolbox on cultural diversity, dismantling hate crime, human library, and many more. She developed the user-defined service model of case management for crisis workers as well. Her passion is diversity and inclusion, which has allowed her to be the chair of the City of Burlington's Inclusivity Advisory Committee and board member of Patient Family Advisory Committee and Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Table with Joseph Brant Memorial Hospital, and many more. Welcome to the podcast, Hanadi.
Thank you. Thank you, Stephen. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for being here. So
thank you for inviting me for this really podcast. I really appreciate this. Thanks a lot.
Welcome. And let us begin with a land acknowledgement and reflection on our relationship with the land that surrounds us. We acknowledge that Halton is rich in the history and modern traditions of Indigenous peoples. Halton is on the traditional land of many Indigenous peoples, the majority of Halton being on treaty lands held by the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, which is a part of the Ojibwe or Anishinaabe Nation, extending from the Niagara Peninsula across Hamilton, Halton, and Toronto to the Rouge River Valley. We thank the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation for sharing their traditional territory with us. As part of acknowledging the land that you find yourself on and the treaty lands that have been shared with us, you're encouraged to look outside your window and think about the land and acknowledge what you see. How are you grateful today? It is the land that connects us all. We hope that you feel connection as well through the stories shared today. So Hanadi, we'll start maybe with some generative questions, if that works for you. The first question being, what are you working on that you are most excited about?
Thank you, Stephen, for this great question, and thank you for inviting me for this rich topic. I'm very, very interested in this topic because it's the story of our day at our HMC Connections. So just to give you a small summary about what we do, our agency is called HMC Connections. We are a settlement agency that integrate newcomers and immigrants to their new society in Halton region. And we work with them effectively with our 88 employees. We have different programs from the settlement program that support really any clients who comes to our doors with information, referral, counseling, bridging to services, navigating resources for them, and how to start their life. So we will do an intake for them. We will provide then a settlement and integration plan, defining priority, defining if those really crisis situation or they are really normal integration. And we want people to feel that they are welcome in our society, in their new society, and at the end to be contributor to our society, and they feel they belong within our region. And this is what we are working with. So we have transitional housing, we have employment services, we have community connections, which really bring volunteers and hire volunteers to be our #1 supporters when we work with within different areas. So we are located at Halton region, and we have different locations and offices, and we are funded by IRCC, Immigration, Refugee, Citizenship of Canada. The question is very important because I'm telling you, Stephen, for maybe before, I don't know how many years I had really to come as an immigrant myself and experiencing really the work with HMC, started as volunteer and then having a job. I experienced really a larger family than the North American families we experience that has multi-generation within the family. And they came to our office and they were asking me that, yes, we need, it was really an area that I didn't think about it, that it could be included within what we are going to serve clients with. It was asking me, how can we transport the full family in one van, and how we can do that. Though we have children, we have grandparents, we have parents. And this was very, very interesting, really, and open eye-opener for me to answer their question. And I took this question to the ministry. I was communicating with the ministry, what are the tools, what are the strategies themselves for services or for any family purposes. And this is where I started really to see the lens of really the multi-generation families, that this is more the meaning of multi-generational families. It refers to a household in which multi-generation from different ages of the same family live together or maintain close connections. Typically, this includes at least really two, as you said, two adult generations, such as parents and their adult children, or sometimes 3 or more generations, including grandparents, parents, and grandchildren. And what I experienced also, really seeing the siblings also living with their parents of more than a family. So there is really a sister-in-law, brother-in-law. So are trying really to live in the same household. And the census data, as you are talking about, those became the fastest growing family household type in recent decades, and which has contributed to the growing discussion on living arrangement. And this is really what we experience at HMC. Really, whenever we serve, we are not serving a one family, we are serving different multi-generational family. So this was a very big project that I connected with the Minister of Transportation. It captured even the media reaction from Hamilton Spectator, from the CHTV. So there are many people who were interested in this discussion. But the recent initiative that I did, or activity that we did on multi-generational family, it was a project that I worked with the Milton Library. It was really Milton Library want to translate some document about the access of their services and how to access the services. And that project require really a professional translator to do this. But beside, after this, a multi-generational same household family to come and discuss the translation, the guideline, the accessibility. The discussion was so fruitful, so enjoyable, like by the grandparents and their grandchildren and their children, the parents. So there were the grandparents, the grandchildren, and the parents themselves. And the discussion was so fruitful, really, and so eye-cap opener to what they are saying, what the grandparents are saying, and what are the grandchildren are saying, and how they connected together, and how they enjoy the time, really. And it strengthened really the accessibility of the service providers and open their eyes about many different areas that they need, or a language that they need to use it in multi-level for multi-generational families. So this was a project that with the Milton Library that we are still working on it, and I think the families enjoy it a lot. And now we are thinking about really the outreach for us. It means outreach for multi-generational families. So if we outreach to the grandchildren, it means that we are outreaching our messages to the others in the family. So if we will talk about different what technology we want to use really in this services or automated services, the grandchildren can help us to spread and to work with their grandparents towards really how to be really little bit have access to their health records or information about that they need it, and it's used by automated services or by healthcare providers. And we have another projects where the youth are visiting seniors in the hospitals and understanding how they can really build these connections in different areas. So we are looking at mentorship also from inside the families. Really, if we want a mentorship for youth or for a career, and this career is available within the family, we are really bringing those family members to help us with a mentorship in support from family members. And this is how we are working nowadays with the multi-generational family at our office. I think I listed some of the work that we are doing, but I'm telling you, it's very, very effective. It's very supportive. As we see, really, people, they enjoy it, and it's very credible to people, really, when they build connections. It's still, you are a stranger, you are coming really to a community that you are new in it, and you are trying really to build those ties within outside of your household, but you are still really enjoying the in support that you can find it within the multi-generational families.
Wow, so many amazing things to think about. Like I was taking some notes just now around, like, I mean, covering topics around like settlement integration planning and belonging and you know, some of the barriers people might face, like language and translation or transportation. But I was really captured by what you shared about the grandchildren and grandparent connections and the way that, you know, service providers can make information more accessible through outreach to the grandchildren. I found that really interesting. Like, did that piece come out of the conversations you had with the grandparents and grandchildren together? Am I understanding that right?
Yeah, this came from really the interaction that we experienced when we put them in one room together, and they were really discussing this. It even really, we found that it's a good strategy is really with the services that we provide, with the resources that we provide as an agency, really to talk to the family as a multi-generational family in a way that it will be effective, in a way that it will be accessible really to all, and to seek the support whenever we need it from any from the grandparents or the parents. The grandparents, they have really amazing stories to tell and amazing skills and experience in life, in social, in within the area that even they were professional in or they were educated in, and those really turns really to a very excellent pathways in life for the others, for their grandchildren, for their children. So we are using them really, we are using these connections to create accessible really services and to outreach between the multi-generational family. But I know that why it is important. I don't know if I will jump to this, but I think I will leave it for you, Stephen, to see if you have different really observation in a way.
Goodness, I mean, well, there's a million and one reasons why I think this is important, but I guess that what was going to be my next question for you is why is this important to you? And that might be a hard one to answer, but yeah, if there's anything that comes up for you right away.
It's not really a hard one to answer. It's a very amazing one because the community need to listen to this, to motivate and to think about it. Like my multi-generational household have always been a part of kind of family landscape within our indigenous people, within immigrants that we see really coming to our region, and for different factors that contributed to the growth of this style of family. I can see it. It's a very personal choice, really, for people really to choose to be in multi-generational household. And I see the benefit. One big benefit it's the shared financial resources by families from housing costs that we see, either rent or property or whatever housing requirement. But this is shared cost financially between really the family members, and the groceries, the utilities, and more. It will be shared as financial costs. So this is effective financial planning for the families, as if they just arrive here to the country. They have many other financial needs, and sometimes they are really some generation are working, the others are not, and how we can really work within the financial needs that we need it every day. And also sharing a home together will reduce the housing crisis for us that we experience nowadays. We don't have really nowadays. Everywhere we are talking about housing crisis, affordable housing. And I think if we focus on multi-generational family type, it will reduce this really housing crisis that we keep talking about it. And it's even support the caregivers and children care among relatives, such as grandparents or other relatives who is not working, to support family members who's working. So if we are really two parents and we need really to go to work, maybe our parents, the grandparents, will look after our children, and this will reduce the cost of childcare or caregiver for our even elderly. Living in an multi-generation home foster close family relationship and provides really emotional support between others. You are really coming to a new society. You might be isolated. You might not have the social connection that you had before. You might not have family members as you had in your home country, or you need some emotional support. I think those really emotional support, social connections, a sense of belonging internally within our family. It starts from there until you are adapting yourself and integrating in the new life. And this is what we experience really. Families with multi-generational type, they integrate better in a better way than if you are really a single family coming to arriving as a newcomer or immigrant to our country. So I think there are really also really many other factors that you see in a multi-generational family. It's just you are talking about even the caregiver for seniors and looking after them, looking after their records, looking after their nowadays we live in a very automated and technological world, and where some elderly, they don't know really how to operate this, and the interaction between this age and that age, it will educate, it will create awareness, it will create their knowledge how to access those online services. How many grandchild taught really their grandparents how to use Zoom, how to interact in online, how to attend really those workshops on Zoom and help them really to set up Zoom or set up online services, or to go to their health records and see really what was the results of their health records. So I think this is, it's a 2 ways and maybe 3 ways of interaction that benefit every generation. So I think this is, there are many things that you can list under the benefit of how what is the benefit of the multi-generation families household.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I mean, yeah, like I appreciate what you shared about how multi-generation households have always been a part of the fabric of society, and you know, pre-colonization, in fact, with Indigenous folks, and yeah, and that it has been on the increase in the last few years, and that, you know, the benefits, there are benefits to every generation within that home. So what a beautiful thing. Thank you for sharing that. So you know, in line with all of those benefits, you know, what's already happening that you'd like to see more of?
Really, nowadays, I think the builders need really to see this benefits and to look at the changes. And we are saying that this is the fastest growth in household families and the type of families. So builders need really to look at those really aspects of how can we build those houses that can be supportive to multi-generational families without really a higher cost. I'm not talking about really a huge mansion that we can create. I know that utilizing the space within the building really aspects, how to be have really another entrances, how really to have more space that they can benefit in living together. So how you can accommodate the multi-generation families under one roof. I think there is lots of options for them to look at it, that it's cost effective for the builders. And if we keep this ongoing talk and discussion about this is how fast is this growth is, I think they have to see it in their lens and how they can accommodate. And there are really countries that they are accommodating those really type of families in the same space of townhouse or in the whatever type of housing that they have really in the rental apartments. And so I think the builders need to see this lens and decide really how we can modify and accommodate those really type of families that we are experiencing now. And we need more coverage. I think with more coverage on the social media about like what you are doing, Stephen, because I was really so interested, or when you were talking about the multi-generational family, nobody really touched on this topic yet. But I know that it's in a very lower discussion, not really a topic of the day. We need to make it a topic of the day. We need to engage the social media about the multi-generational family concept. You are talking about this type of family. You have to include this type of family whenever you talk about the family composition in Canada and talk about type of families in Canada, living in Canada. We don't talk about it in the social media. We don't show the storytelling that inspire people maybe to think more about this household. And the highlights why it is important, can raise awareness of how it fosters strong family bonds, the cultural continuity, and mutual support to access across generation, and the accessibility of the services. We always talk about accessibility of the services, and we have the checklist how to be accessible. We never touch on this really concept. More conversation about this topic can inspire people to explore the benefit of multi-generational living and address the challenges faced by families living together across different age group. Yes, we have benefits all the time, but we might have challenges that it could be really not really that much challenges compared to the benefits that we see and the positive outcomes. I wish the school, the hospitals, the policy makers can see really how they can also work within the policy requirement. When they say family support, whenever you say family support, you have to include the other generation of families really within the support. Whenever you use the term family members, you have to expand those really family members towards really the multi-generational families in a way. I wish the school will talk about this type of family, because many of their students are living in this typical household, multi-generational family, and sometimes students, they are not really even talk about it. They feel shy, or because it could be stigmatized towards that, oh, they cannot afford this housing, they cannot. So we need to move from the stigma towards the multi-generation family, because it's not really the reason that I don't have enough money really to live outside. Maybe the ties between the families, this is why I choose really to live within this household. Maybe I want to keep connected with my grandparents. Maybe I want my moms and my dads also to be part of my, to be accessible and to be part of my family composition. So my kids will exchange really fruitful conversation and mentorship and childcare and all those the other benefits. I believe this is, as far as I see it, really how it could happen more. And I believe really touching a lot and looking at the growth and integrate, adapt the services that we are providing in these ways.
Very interesting. So, what would you like, want, or need from the community to make some of this more successful or more possible?
Yeah, I would love really to see some kind of acknowledgement of support for this type of family. I would love really to be included whenever we talk about the different family composition in Canada or styles. We say a parent's family, LGBTQ families, multi-generational families, and you can have either like intersectionality within the multi-generational family. We have really to be aware of and acknowledge that there is really another really type of families in Canada, and the growth of those families, family composition is so fast, and how we are looking and to make more researches. I don't see the lack of researches is not there. This is why many society or communities in Canada, they are not aware of this. So more of researches and ongoing talk about how we can really outreach, accommodate, how we can make policy effective, how we can acknowledge those families, and how to walk away from the stigma towards really multi-generational families.
Yeah, and maybe through more conversations like this and more research that acknowledges the intersectionality and diversity that, you know, make up families, right, in Canada. Maybe that'll help reduce some of that stigma by helping people understand that this is not new, but also that it's increasingly popular and that it has a range of benefits and support for people. And even something that really stood out to me in the report itself was that within Halton itself, some communities have like quite high proportions of multi-generational households and families, mainly Milton and Oakville. And so, you know, those could be places to start as far as some of this work goes. Yeah, anyway, that's
we need our
tidbit.
region to see this picture. We need our region also to see this picture and start really talking about really how we can grow those really resources, how we can really see the full picture of multi-generation and and promote the benefits of multi-generation. Yes, there are really always negative things, or there are challenges really adapting to each other's, but it's a normal challenge, and sometimes people really go over it really and work it out. But sometimes there are really challenges. I cannot deny that there are many challenges that you cannot deny that sometimes it's not destroying. It really bring the family apart from each other. And in this way, the family will choose really to go outside of this household. We have some situations and very minimum situations where we can see this, but I think yes, our region, our service providers, our businesses need to see the full picture of this and start really the conversation. I think you started a very amazing discussion, and I hope that this will continue on a higher level. How it will look like to healthcare providers, how it will look like for social services providers, how it will look like for the school board. Can the grandparents be part of the school board discussion whenever it gets really to discuss the development of education of children, or the student? Can the grandparents be part of really the training? Sometimes we as agency, we are really mandated to have eligible only parents to come for this specific training that we provide, let's say on the student development, but sometimes they are not really recognizing that the grandparents are the one who's living with those children, who's looking after them, who's really transporting them to and from. So I think we need to have a full picture that those really other generation that could be included within as a family members, and to be recognized by the service providers as the parents, as they see the parents there.
Yeah, what a beautiful thing that would be, like for services to, and I'm sure some do, but increasingly for services to recognize the important role that grandparents often have in childcare. And yeah, like what a beautiful concept. Well, and you alluded to a few things already, Hanadi, but from where you stand, what would be the best thing that could happen?
The best thing could happen. Think about that. We have multi-generation families that they are really relying on each other. They are supporting each other. So you can reduce the reliance on social services and financial aids in this really household. So if all of them, they will support each other financially, then you will not really have people really apply a lot for financial resources or financial aid that they need. You will break into the isolation and the loneliness of many people that you think they are really living in isolation, and maybe their children are not really visiting them once a week or once a month, and they are living in a very, very miserable situations that they cannot really walk, they cannot prepare their food, they cannot do anything. I know that there are really services there, but some people, they don't even know how to navigate those services. So you are building a stronger relationship between multiple generation, where you are building a stronger families, stronger healthy communities, and think about really the well-being of of our communities. Really, we worried always, we want really the integration. Let's say if I look at the integration and settlement of immigrants or new families, that it will be more successful. They will be more resilient in the time of crisis, and they will build really a supportive system that it's internally for them, where many people will be contributor within our society, and not really a burden on our society, because they cannot really function, or they cannot really settle or integrate well. So I think we are going to use our resources effectively if we are really buying into this concept of multi-generational family, because as if you have the workers internally inside, that they will be the advocator of your services, they will be really the outreach of your services, they will be the people that provide accessibility to your services. So I think the well-being of many families with the strong family ties will be really better in our region.
Wow. I mean, so from what I'm hearing, it really makes sense from a planning perspective, for communities, for governments, for the region, to really take into account and work with multi-generational families, to meet their own needs. And really, all of this is amazingly rooted in the familial connections that are already there, like that love and connection that people already have in the family that can lead to so many other benefits. Wow. So who else is doing interesting work with multi-generational families and households in the community, that you appreciate?
I think we have now, as far as I know, I don't know everyone, because I told you really this is a very unique topic, and not really many conversation about it. But I notice really our kids network focus on fostering strong, connected communities for children, youth, and families in Halton through partnership and effort. I think they address various family dynamic, including multi-generational living, ensuring that the family members across generation are supported socially and emotionally. And I think their work is very rich. If you can even experience it on their website, they did really excellent job in building those really supports within multi-generational family. I see also with Halton Children Aid Society, they are really providing the family connection programs, and which I love it a lot, which aim to locate, engage, and support extended family members, creating strong, really support networks, especially and crucial for multi-generational families for caring for their for the children. So I think those really are very focused agencies, and they are rich of what they are doing. I like the concept of family connection programs, and I would love really if it could be adopted in many other areas where you are trying to build these family connections between the internal family, the multi-generation family, and value those really connections in front of our community. Because more often we talk about the negative stories of some service providers which promote really a negative vision of people, why they don't want really to be connected to those services. So I prefer really the storytelling to be really higher in a very positive way, and to capture, not really only to talk about it. Like I love this meeting with you, Stephen. I would really later on maybe think about inviting a family and talk to them and ask them the same question that you ask me in storytelling, and they will say more than what I said here in this interview, because I think with their experiences and their insights and their access and their integration. If I will talk about really immigrants, this is the area that we work with, but there is even our indigenous really community. It's very valuable really to connect and talk about how they are living in multi-generational concept, and how effective this concept for them in the same household. I think this will highlight more insight and positive outcomes that we focus on every day, on what happened after. As a follow-up, I believe you open even my eyes a lot about that this is a growing communities in multi-generational, and we need really to focus on what is the outcome that happened really within, and to ask those effective questions for them. What happened while are you really encouraging the others to do the same? And what do you want the service providers to do in order to meet your needs, or to have access really to those resources internally in your household? I think this will be really a very excellent topic to keep not to mention it as in one interview, maybe interviewing those really families and asking the same questions for them.
Yeah, I was thinking about that kind of throughout, actually, because you know, you're speaking to these, you know, the benefits of you know, of services and systems supporting these family ties and connections that are already there, and the benefits of multi-generation families, like including like child and elder care, and cultural connection, and accessibility, in terms of, you know, accessibility within the society people find themselves in, that they recently moved to. And I think those stories, I mean, I bet they're unique to each family, but also very important, you know, just for the community to hear, because I think most people can relate to the importance of family ties, but I think these experiences would be so valuable in helping the communities more broadly understand, like you were saying, like what families might need, what they could benefit from in terms of service provision, and even just like what those networks look and feel like from being in them. I mean, yeah, I just think that's so exciting, and perhaps this is an invitation for some more podcasts to come out. Like this might be a series. This may not be a one-time thing, because the storytelling is so important and valuable. And yeah, I'm grateful that you raised that. Yeah, I'm
And
grateful to
don't
have learned about
forget the
that.
mental health also, Stephen. Mental health and
Mm,
well-being is very important. Really, mental health, we always break those really barriers and with the multi-generational families because they understand it really well. They can fight the stigma towards really mental health. It can help really the delivery of the therapy and the plan. And if there is really a mental health issues within this family, that it could be really contribute to the success of whatever plan the service providers. We all always really have challenges whenever we deal with mental health towards really the stigma, towards really the terms, to understand really what's the meaning of anxiety, what's the meaning of where it doesn't exist in other communities or experiences with people that they are really arriving sometimes to Canada. Just to know even the system much better, because you have a generation that they are really sitting inside the houses. They could provide you the childcare and plus, but they are inside. And you have the other generation who's going outside and interacting with the community outside, and they are bringing the new things really. From the grandchildren, from the parents, and bring those really to the attention of the others who cannot really interact externally with the other society. So I think you have to think about those really seriously, who's internal, who's external, and who's bringing those resources, and how effectively this communication and interaction will be very fruitful in how we create really awareness, how we increase the knowledge, how we can have accessible services and and how we can have support really also internally within our community, and how we can voice it back really to the others or service providers. So I think we need to think about those really process and the concept of how people they can go be outsider, and how the others they are insider, and who's bringing what to the others.
Who's bringing what to the rest of the family? Yeah,
Yeah, the rest of the family.
yeah.
You
Wow.
imagine really sometimes when I talk about the car seat, all those kids
Mm,
really go to their parents and say, oh, the car seat is very important. We need you to use the car seat. Really, we cannot sit on the seat without a car seat. I don't know how old I am, even talking to their grandparents and telling them the same story. So yeah, crossing pedestrian roads and all of those things, it will be well educated between really internal families, internal generation of the families in the same household.
and even like helping people feel less isolated,
Yeah,
especially for our older adults and seniors. Like I think about that a lot in the work that we do at CDH. Like, yeah, just groups of people that can often feel quite isolated, and I think we can all relate to the how damaging and harmful that can be
yeah,
in the long term, right? To experience isolation, and what I'm hearing is just a lot of connection to be
yeah.
found in these kinds of families and household dynamics. And yeah, wow. So Hannity, where might people go to find out more information about you and your work with the Halton Multicultural Council?
Oh, they can visit our website www.hmcconnections.com. We have really different services in Milton, Georgetown, Burlington, Oakville, and we have our phone number that it will be answered really directly at 905-842-2486. And you can follow up on the Facebook, Twitter. It's all listed on our website. And we have bloggers, and we have lots of newsletters. Other week, we create a newsletter to talk about our events and our even partners events. And there's a lot really to see on our website also.
Exciting. Well, we'll be sure to include some links to all of that, and the phone number that you mentioned in the show notes. so that folks can access it more readily. That's exciting. So yeah, thank you to Hanadi here and HMC for your generous support of this community Data Watch publication and podcast. We're grateful to you for the work that you do in the community and the knowledge that you've shared with us today. Is there any final thoughts that you might have, or ideas or anecdotes?
We are here. I know that we are here to support each others, and this is really how we build strengther and stronger. Stronger communities together, and we are building this community with together with collaboration and partnership. And thank you for Development Halton. They've been really working really in amazing really project and different projects. Thank you for inviting us to be part of your podcast, and which I love it. I'm very, very excited about it, and hopefully we will see you in another podcast.
Yeah,
But thank you for bringing this important concept, really, also, Stephen, because I was really surprised, really, when you send really the topic, and I said, nobody ever asked us really to talk about this, and
really.
this is the time really to start really this really ongoing conversation in our community.
So we'll make it an ongoing conversation. That sounds great.
Mhm. Thank you
Oh,
so much.
thank you to you too.